The least we need as a country is additional enemies in our basket. And we cherish friendships with every country, including the Sudan. We noted from our discussions that Sudan had set out a raft of reprisal issues on Kenya that would have had some negative effect on both our economy and our comfort as a country, because we don't want to get into a dubious distinction of being a country whose ambassadors are expelled from countries where they are accredited. And as you may recall, our ambassador was leaving Khartoum at midnight last night. We were able to stop that. President Bashir had also instructed his government that all flights to and from Kenya of whatever airlines do not fly Sudanese airspace. We managed to remove that. He had also instructed his government to sever all trade links with Kenya. You may know that, wish to know that Sudan is the 5th largest importer of Kenya's tea, and we have many other trade links. We also managed to stay that. He had also instructed his government to expel Kenyans numbering over 1,000, including 500 students, in Sudan. We managed to stay that. He had also taken 2 additional courses of action. First one is to order Kenyan paramilitary police that are part of the UN mission in Darfur to leave. You know, even if you are under the UN hats, the recipient country must accept you. And the second one was that Kenya, as the chair of the IGAD CPA Implementation Committee, whatever meetings we may call, he was not going to have a representation from his government, and this would have thrown the entire unresolved issues of the CPA into terrible jeopardy. You know, we have the South Kordofan, we have the Blue Nile, we have the unfinished demarcation of the border, we have the wealth issues, including oil, and many other things about the CPA. So I can tell you that my colleague and I have come back with that piece of news from Sudan. And we also took the opportunity to discuss with him, as an IGAD member, our campaign with TFG against Al-Shabaab. And on a good note, he acknowledged the menace of Al-Shabaab and voiced very positively that the threat Al-Shabaab poses to Kenya is a threat to Sudan as well, and that Sudan, as an IGAD member, will continue being part of the team of the region that wants peace, security, and tranquility. And that, of course, that is already part of our plan. We should have a clear exit strategy after this campaign, and that is neither a matter for us to discuss in depth with you or with any other person other than the military that is carrying out the operations. Perhaps I should also mention something about the court judgment. I think I've seen from some of your media houses a critique that we should not criticize courts. Far from it. As government, we will not interfere with courts to tell them how to reach their judgments. But anybody, including yourselves, can write editorials, can analyze and criticize judgments. If a judgment is in error both in law and fact, you have the right to voice your opinion, including the government. If many of you are aware, I'm a lawyer of very long standing in this country, and when you are dissatisfied with a judgment of a lower court, you go to the higher court for appeal. You can't appeal against a judgment you are not going to criticize, including criticizing sometimes the conduct of the judge, that he misconducted himself, he misdirected himself, he reached a judgment in error of fact or in error of law or in error of both. And this is not in any way an assault on the independence of the judiciary. And you should also understand that government is not about the executive. Government is about the executive, the legislature, and the judiciary. And each of those arms must act in a manner that is consistent with the interests of the country, with the security of the country, and with the peace of the country. Take, for example, our new constitution that gives an unlimited plethora of rights without imposing any obligations on anybody. If you read it clearly, it only says you're right, you're right, you're right. It doesn't say anything about your obligation. If a Kenyan went to court and sought an order and got one to force the chief executive of the country to declare war on a neighbor, is that in the interest of Kenya? Is that a judgment capable of obedience? I don't think so. So when we criticize or voice concern about a court judgment, it's not about assaulting the judiciary. It's about being Kenyans who are mindful of the interests of this country and saying that some of the things can be done differently. We're not telling them how to do them, but that's our opinion as government.